Okay, here's part 2 of chapter 12, talking about some variations on factorial designs. Okay. So we've talked about 2x2 factorial designs so far. These are some variations on that, or some different ways by which you can have a 2x2 design, where you could have either independent groups or within groups designs. Okay. So here's what an independent groups design would look like, and you can see that this requires more people. If you've got 4 different conditions, you recruit a whole separate pool of subjects for each of those conditions. Okay, so 48 total. The 4 possible conditions are like seeing an alcohol photo and then being exposed to neutral words, seeing an alcohol photo and then getting exposed to aggression-related words, okay, and etc. So that's a independent groups or between groups factorial design. You could also have a within groups or repeated measures factorial design, which, as you can see, this might be a more efficient use of time and resources, as long as the experiment isn't too arduous. But you only have 12 people now, but each person gets exposed to all 4 conditions. So instead of 4 different groups, you have 1 group, but the group gets exposed to all 4 conditions. And then you could have some kind of a mix. So in this case, you've got like the group of 24 gets exposed to neutral words, you have 1 group that gets exposed to neutral words and 1 group that gets exposed to aggression-related words. But then everybody in there gets exposed to both alcohol photos and plant photos. Okay, so here it's 24, and so there are different reasons for which you would use these different designs. Sometimes you need to have independent groups, but this can be more efficient if you just have 1 smaller group that gets exposed to all levels. Another way by which you can vary this factorial design is not limiting it to just a 2x2, but increasing the number of levels of an independent variable. Okay, so here's an example of a 2x3. There are still only 2 independent variables here, and that's important to keep in mind. It's just that one has 2 levels, one has 3 levels. Okay, so you've got IV1, cell phone condition. You have a hands-free cell phone, a handheld cell phone, and then no phone. And then you have an IV2, younger drivers and older drivers. Okay, so IV2 has 2 levels, IV1 has 3, 2x3. Here you've got 3x4 or 4x3. Okay, cell phone condition still has 3 levels, but now you've divided up the drivers into these different age ranges. Okay, so driver age now has 4 levels. Okay. You can still investigate main effects and interactions with these 2. Now this is where you increase the number of independent variables, okay, so having 3 or more. It's pretty rare, at least with these kind of designs, I'd say, that you come across anything more complex than these, but you can have more. Yeah, you probably won't find them in typical psychological literature, just because it's a lot. The effects and the interactions especially get kind of hard to interpret. So this would be 1 independent variable is cell phone usage, on or off. Another independent variable is age, young or old. And then the 3rd independent variable is traffic level. Okay, so light traffic or heavy traffic. Okay, and these might be a mix of within groups and between groups variables. Okay. So the main effects, again, they tell you, is there a difference? Okay, so for a 3-way factorial design, you would have, in this case, you'd have 3 main effects. Okay, or you'd have 3 main effects. Here's what they would be in that example. Okay, main effect for cell phone use versus no cell phone. Main effect of age, and then a main effect of traffic condition. Okay, and It may be significant for all, or one, or two, or none. Okay? Any combination could be significant. Okay? With a three-way design, you have two-way interactions, which are what we've already seen. Okay, where you just have these. It's basically three 2x2 possibilities. Okay, so you could have an interaction between traffic and age. You could have an interaction between cell phone use and age, and then you could have an interaction between traffic and cell phone use. Okay, and you can see here these ones are non-parallel, so there probably is a significant two-way interaction between traffic and age, where you can see that among the older drivers, heavy traffic has a greater effect than among younger drivers. Okay, so there's a difference in the differences there. Here there's another probable interaction. You need to actually run the stats to see. It's a little, could go either way maybe, but it looks like the if you're on your cell phone, there's a bigger age difference than when you're not on your cell phone. Okay? And then here there's probably not an interaction. The effect of traffic on braking onset doesn't seem to depend on whether or not you're on your phone or not. Heavy traffic increases braking time, but it doesn't seem to matter whether you're on your cell phone or not. Okay. Three-way interactions. This is where you're asking whether the two-way interactions are different. Okay. Is the difference in the differences different? Is the difference in the differences different? That's what you're answering with a three-way interaction. Okay. So here's an example of where there would not be a two-way interaction. And you can already kind of spot it. These are just all parallel. Okay, so there's no interactions at all going on here. Here, there is a significant three-way interaction. Okay. And there doesn't necessarily have to be a significant two-way interaction, but in this case it looks like there is. Okay, so these are non-parallel, these are non-parallel. They're also non-parallel in a different way. Here you've got the crossing over, and here you've got the spreading. Okay, so they're different two-way interactions, different types, and so there is a significant three-way interaction. Okay. Now these ones look the same, but look closely. Here there is no two-way interaction. There is no three-way interaction, because the two-way interactions are the same pattern. Okay, you've got the same kind of a crossing over. Now this looks the same, but you can see the colors are different. Okay, so the steep lines have switched places between here and here. Okay, so so there you'd have a significant three-way interaction. You'd have two significant two-way interactions, and then also the three-way interaction is significant. Okay. There's a difference in differences, and it's also different between light traffic and heavy traffic. Different kind of interaction dependent on that independent variable. Okay. Maybe your mind feels like this right now. It seems like there's these are all some pretty complex questions, and why would you even want to design a study like this? The reason is that the human behavior in the world is complicated, and this is often the answer to psychological questions. Okay, does this treatment work? Well, it depends. It depends on what kind of patients you're talking about. Does this technique improve memory? Well, it depends. Okay. So most of the outcomes that we consider in psychology are interactions. That's usually what we're interested in. How do you spot these in journals? You'll see these X's. Okay? So it'd be like age, and this is read by, okay, that X. So a three-way interaction between age, cell phone use, and traffic would be an age by traffic by cell phone use interaction. So look for those kind of X's to see if you're reading a study that employs a factorial design and is investigating an interaction. Results section. Main effects are usually going to be examined as well, and the interactions. Each of them is going to have a p-value. And again, you can see any combination of these. Sometimes you'll have everything significant, sometimes just a few things, sometimes none, and it can be any combination. Okay. The terms MANOVA and F-statistic are ones that you may come across. We won't go into depth about what those mean, but that's a way that you can spot that you're looking at a factorial design. Also in popular media articles, sometimes it'll be phrased as like it depends, or this effect was observed only when, and there's often interactions with things like age, gender, ethnicity, so you can look for participant variables that they took into account to see if an effect was only held up in a certain age group or in a certain gender or certain ethnicity category. Okay, that's the end of chapter 12.